Good morning everyone and welcome to episode 6 of the Grey Nomad Knits. Oh, it's a lovely bright sunny morning here today, but I must admit we have had some weather. Winter has finally arrived. We had a lot of rain and we've got a few days reprieve at the moment while the sun is shining, but it's very chilly in the mornings. I just love winter. It's so nice to have the heater on at night, feet up, the knitted socks and slippers on, and getting into a good bit of knitting. Nothing is better. For those of you who haven't watched before, my name is Jill and you can find me on Ravelry as JillyMG or on Instagram as JillyMG60, that's 60. And thank you to everyone who's returning to watch again, and for all of those of you who have been following me. All tongue-tied this morning. I have to do a birthday report. So Michelle's birthday was on Sunday and she opened up her parcel, and I cannot tell you the oohs and the ahs and the exclamations. She absolutely loved it. And she loved the books I got her as well. And when she went home that night, she took me some photos. She'd laid the blanket out on her bed and her new kitten has decided to make it his home. I'll try and get the photos off my message and add them in here so that you can see how her kitten just loves it. She loves it as well, and she really was over the moon with it. So I'm so glad it was worth putting every single stitch, every minute, every second, every hour, in fact 12 months into it, and she absolutely loved it. And I have to tell you that after keeping it a secret for a whole year, the day before her birthday we were going into Subiaco to see a musical production of Strictly Ballroom, which we loved. But on the way in I was relating her a funny story, and it was about the blanket. I completely forgot, totally let the cat out of the bag. So by the time Sunday came, she already knew. And one of the really funny things was that I left her out on the pavement while I ducked into the newsagents to get some wrapping paper and a card. And the lady in the newsagents asked me what the wrapping paper was for. So I told her it was for a blanket I'd knitted for my daughter for her birthday. And she asked me if I had any photos of it. So of course, you know, proud mum moment, I'm flicking through Instagram and showing her the photos, and she says, "I've seen that before." And I said, "Oh, well, I don't know where." And it turns out that one of her friends goes to the same knit group as me. And she had then shown her the photos on Instagram of it. So she'd already seen it. So by the time Michelle opened it on Sunday, we decided it's a world famous blanket. Everyone knows about it. And now it's all hers. It was a great day. We had our family over for lunch. We had a really lovely day and I think she really enjoyed it. Okay, so today it's a bit chilly, so I've just wrapped a shawl around my shoulders. This is the Andrea Mowry What the Fade shawl. It was my first and only ever go at brioche, and I did actually really enjoy it. Using, of course, as you probably would all guess, Dingo Dye Works yarn. I can't tell you what the colours are now. I think it's mostly Ridgy Ditch. There might be one or two jumbucks in here. So this was a knit along that Andrea Mowry did, a mystery knit along. And you started off up the top here and then increase. So I had to learn how to do brioche increases as well. So this is one side and this is the other side. So you can't really tell the difference much in the colours. This side's darker and this side's paler. And then after doing quite a large section of brioche, it goes up into garter stitch, and it's quite a deep triangle. I don't like wearing shawls like this. I like to have the warmth on my back, so I just chuck it around. Sometimes here in Perth we go to the outdoor cinemas in the summer, where they have cinemas all set up with lovely deck chairs and you take pillows and things, but it still can get a little bit chilly, so this is perfect. This is what I take with me and it just keeps that chilly air off my shoulders. Now, I have a finished object and it's not a blanket. I finished my socks that were just plain stockinette stitch, and these are using West Yorkshire Spinners signature 4-ply, I think they call it, and it's part of their Country Birds range, and it's the owl colourway. I don't have any sock blockers, I'm sorry. I must confess I made a mistake, and in the heel, when I was doing the Eye of Partridge heel, I forgot to every second knit row do the knit 2 instead of the knit 1, so I ended up with just like a fancy rib. But it doesn't matter, I think they'll still wear well. And of course, in the second sock, I got halfway up the heel and I realised, or I don't know what I did. I did the first part and the last part of the heel flap the correct way, and the middle part here reverted back to me forgetting. So I think that was probably what I can safely call a senior moment. But apart from that, it doesn't matter. Who's ever going to notice? Except now that all my friends who have watched this are going to inspect my feet when I wear them. So my foot, although it's quite short, I take an Australian size 6.5 theoretically, but try getting a shoe in a size 6.5. I usually have to get a 7. So I do did 20 rows rib, 60 rows of stockinette, then the heel flap and turn, and I use Kay Jones from the Bakery Bears. I use her square heel and her heel flap and gusset, and I find it fits my foot perfectly. And then I did I think it was 50 rows for the foot and then the umbrella toe. So I'm really happy with those. I started knitting those in the nursing home when we were visiting John's mum, but then it got a bit too difficult. So now I've just car knitting when I didn't want to have to concentrate too much. And how nice is that yarn? I just love it. Really nice. So I'm really pleased, and we're going away on holidays. We're going away on holidays at the end of the first week of July. So I'm going to have to get some more sock yarn organised to take with me. So after I've shown you a few more things, I'm going to select that while we're here on YouTube and see what my next pair of socks is going to be. So that's those. Now, my work's in progress. First off, I've got my Queen Sylvia shawl or wrap by Nancy Bush. This is really growing now, and in fact, I think I'm on my last repeat, and then I start the border. It's going to be a lot bigger. It's going to really grow, but it's really coming on. It actually looks quite pretty there with the light shining on it. So this will block out to probably half this width again. And I've got to take this provisional cast on off and then knit the border in the opposite direction. I'm not quite sure yet. I haven't even, to be quite honest, I haven't looked at the instructions yet for doing the border because it terrifies me. Because it's probably going to involve picking up a lot of stitches along this edge, and I'm not the world's best at picking up stitches, I can assure you. But you can get an idea of what it's going to look like when it's all stretched out. And I think this is going to be for me. I'm not sure yet. Look at that. Beautiful. How cool are these designers, I tell you. I'm using Morris & Sons Empire 2-ply, and I haven't even got through, I've still got this much left off the first ball. I was hoping when I dove into my stash for this project that I would use all of this, but I think rather than run out of yarn halfway through the intricate border, when I finish this centre panel, I'll cut this bit off and then do the border all out of this skein so that I can do it without the fear of having to join yarn. It's very hard to hide yarn joins in such an open lacework pattern. So that's that one. And it's really coming on. Oh, actually I did have a new cast on to show you. Up here in my bag. Ooh, I'm going to knock everything off now. I think I mentioned last week that a lady I previously knitted, last episode, a lady I previously knitted a lace scarf for, and it was out of the same pattern book as that wrap, messaged me to say that she had lost it and she really wanted me to knit her another one. So I think I'm doing a slightly different pattern, but this time I'm doing the Lily of the Valley scarf for her, and I've got this far and she's not in any rush. I told her it's probably not going to be ready till the end of the year because we're going to be away for a month in July. And I have other projects that I want to get finished as well. And she's more than happy to wait. So that's in a very pale silvery grey. And the yarn I'm using for that is extremely luxurious. It's this one by West Yorkshire Spinners. And it's their Exquisite range. And it's lace weight. And the content is 80% Falkland wool and 20% mulberry silk, and I've never knitted anything with silk in it before, and got to say I really like it. So I think she's going to really love it. I've sent her a progress shot and she's very happy. So that's going to be on the slow burner for a little while, but I'll do a little bit every now and then, and it's amazing how with time all of a sudden you're done. Now, this is my Softly cardigan. If you've been following the progress of this, by Hannah Majewska. And this is using Dingo Dye Works Jumbuck yarn, and it's the Coolgardie colourway. And it's nearly done. I have made a blue, which I'll tell you. I've done a whole sleeve, which I'm really happy about. It's reverse stocking stitch. And it all looks a bit uneven, but I think when I wash it and block it, it's going to come out really beautiful. So this afternoon I'm going to pick up the stitches and get the last sleeve started. But I made a rookie error when I was doing the I-cord bind off. I've done it too tight. So I'm going to really stretch it when I block it. So this is the bottom of the cardigan. And I think I also should have probably done, if I did it again, I would do this border in the same size needle. In the pattern it says to go down a needle size, which is what I did, because I do as I'm told. I should have stayed with the same size or even gone up a size. I should have certainly gone up a size for the bind off. But I'm just going to give it a really big stretch. I'm not going to unpick it. But I think it'll be okay. It'll be wearable. I absolutely love the colour, and fingering weight yarn for a cardigan here in Perth is absolutely perfect because it's not too hot and it just gives you that bit of warmth that you need. When I'm finished, part of the making up instructions is this is where you started knitting. So you did a provisional cast on and you started knitting in this direction, and then you picked up the stitches, the live stitches from here, and knitted in that direction. But in the pattern, this is all ruched up, which makes it sort of have that effect at the back of your neck, which I really liked. I was so disappointed when mine didn't work out that way. But after reading the instructions, I realised I have to sew a thread down there and actually pull it up, which will give it that lovely ruched effect. So I'm really glad that that's going to work. And I just love this colour, and it really is bright and probably even brighter than what it's showing on your screen. I love the lace work on the back, and I just love this yarn. I can highly recommend Dingo Dye Works yarn to anyone who hasn't tried it. If you want a special yarn for a special project, it's so soft. There's no itch factor at all, and it is, I just can't wait to wear it. It's absolutely beautiful. Look at the colours. I'm thinking of getting a light on a stand to put over in the other corner of my room, and I think that'll even up the light coming in from the window. But I won't be doing that till I get back from my holidays in July. Okay, now let's talk about Catherine. First of all, so this is out of my Tudor Roses book. And this is by a pattern by Alice Starmore. I'm just quick flash of the there's 1, 2, 3, 4 different charts, but really that's a little bit confusing because the pattern really you can just follow off the one chart. It's more to help you with the increasing and decreasing. This is what it looks like on a beautiful model. How gorgeous is that? I'm just going to show you from the other angle. Such a beautiful book. So it's even got a peplum base. Can you see that okay? It's just beautiful. I've done the back and I've done the 2 front sections and I'm onto the sleeves. Okay, so I'm actually doing the sleeves both together at the same time but on different needles because as you can see with this on the back side, it's too much of a tangle to do them both on the same needle. When I finish knitting for the night now, I peg all the strands together and that has really helped. I'm not having to spend a good 15 minutes now untangling everything before I start. But this shows you what the sleeve is like. Of course, this has to be washed and blocked. There's plenty of room in the sleeves, which I love because I don't have the thinnest arms in the world. So it's going to be really nice. Very, very warm. Now this is knit and here's the other one. So I'm still increasing but I'm well over halfway now. And I certainly know the pattern off by heart. I do still have to refer to the chart though because when on the edges, as you're increasing, you sometimes have to introduce a new piece, like where a new yarn comes in from this direction. So you have to add in another piece. And I've got to be careful not to miss that. So I do still take note of the chart every right side row to make sure I shouldn't be bringing in a new yarn, a new thread. Now there's lots of ends to sew in with this. If you can see these bobbles here, they're all done using a different colour yarn to these 3 main colours. So for every bobble, you use a separate piece of yarn. So on this row, for example, there's 1, 2, and there's another one around here, 3. And then every second time you do it, there's an extra one. So at the moment, I've got up to 4. So for every one of those bobbles, there's 2 ends to sew in. But as you can see on the wrong side, I've been doing them as I go. So after I do the row with the bobbles, I then work a couple more rows to give me a bit more room to work with, and then I get those ends sewn in straight away. So it's not going to be too overpowering at the end. But it's coming on so beautifully, look at that. It's going to be like a work of art, and I don't know if I'll ever even wear it, but certainly when I one day get my dressmaker's dummy over here, it will go on her. Isn't it lovely? I'll hopefully get to wear it if we ever go up to Scotland or Italy in the winter. My brother-in-law's just bought a holiday home in Italy, so we're very blessed and very lucky that he's offered it to us to stay whenever we wish to go. So there is a trip in planning for next year. So that's my Catherine. As I said, the back and the fronts are all done. So it's just the sleeves to go, and then there's a lovely collar, like a little collar edging to put around, and then she will be all done. So she can just go back in her bag for now. I thought I would, over the course of my episodes, show you some of the socks I've made in the past. Now, I rotate my socks, so when they're washed, they go back to the other end of my box. And that way the wear on them is sort of evened out a bit. So the pair I want to show you today, now a lot of them I can't remember what the yarns were. I think this was an Allegria yarn. The pattern is Kay Jones Drippity Drop Socks. If I put my hand in and show you, it's a lovely pattern, really nice. The only thing is I did these on DPNs, and I think at the beginning of the row when you had a yarn over, I was putting it onto the wrong DPN. I was moving it forward to the next one. I think I should have tried to keep it on the one that I was just finishing with, which means they've sort of got a bit of a like a twist in them. I don't know if I did that wrong or not, but you know what, when they're on you don't notice. This yarn worked up really nicely. They're wearing really well. Here's the foot. There's no sign of any wear anywhere. Anywhere. They turned out really nice. So there's absolutely no wear. Once again, it's the square heel that Kay Jones uses. And they're just great. They're so warm. Actually, I bought a new pair of shoes the other day when Michelle and I were in Subiaco. And when I took my shoe off to try them on, I had some lovely pair of hand knit socks on. Not these ones, a different pair. And the shop assistant said, oh, I love your socks. So she's now following me on Instagram. So Kira, if you're watching, hello. And yeah, she said she'd love to learn to knit. So I very kindly pointed her in the direction of a wool shop in Subiaco called Crossways. And hopefully she'll be able to pop in there and get herself some sock yarn. And I'm always here to help her if she needs some help to get started. I love to knit socks when I'm away on holiday. And when I go away next month, we're going to be away for 4 weeks. So that's probably, I'll take enough to knit 2 pairs. And if I run out, I can buy some more yarn. But this is the yarn I'm taking. I actually had this wound up to take to Tasmania when I went last year in October. But I didn't get it. I did 1 pair of socks but didn't get onto the second. So I don't want to have it wound like this for too long. It's a bit messy. It got really slippery on my ball winder. So I'm going to take this, and that's going to be a lovely pair out of the Helen Stewart sock collection. But I'm also going to take some to knit up another pair, and I'm going to select the yarn now. So just bear with me a minute while I get my computer all booted up. So on my laptop, I'm just going to show you, I have a spreadsheet done up with all my yarns and all my projects. So what I'm going to do is use random.org to select which sock yarn I'm going to use next. And we have a winner. So I had to do that about 4 times. So it was number 363, which is one of my opal sock yarns in one of the Monet colourways, and I only just bought those quite recently. And it's the Flowering Iris in Monet's Garden. So I'm just going to find that now and show you. And here it is. How lovely is that? I'll have to find, I think when I do like a self-striping type sock, you can see here how it's going to knit up. I will need to find a contrast yarn for the heels, cuffs and toes, but I think I'm not going to have any trouble there. I've got plenty. Oh, that feels so soft. It's beautiful. I don't think I've ever knitted any opal yarn up before. So I'm going to might find a nice little pattern for that, or I may do a plain sock as I will be on holidays and I will want time to concentrate. So that's going to be my 2 socks that I knit while I'm away on holiday. I'm not sure if I'm going to get time to podcast again before I go, but I will have a night in Sydney when John is going to be at his toy soldier shop that he goes to over there, has an annual dinner for their customers. So he'll be at that one night, so I may be able to sit down in my hotel room and do a podcast from there. But one of these will be on the needles. So that's about it today, everyone. I just do want to give a little shout out to someone. I have purchased some beautiful yarn from America that hasn't arrived yet, and I'm going to make a very plain and simple jacket out of it called the Harvest Cardigan by Tin Can Knits. I think it's a free pattern on Ravelry, and it's a simple design, and I've chosen that specifically because this yarn I've ordered is absolutely divine. It's got all the autumn colours in it, and it almost looks like harvest colours too, so it's going to be perfect for that jacket. It hasn't arrived yet, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about the company Fleece and Harmony, run by Jennifer and Kim. And if you want to see them in action, they have their own podcast called Fleece and Harmony. Now, I have to tell you, I think I needed 12 skeins. And when I went on their website to order, they only had 11. So I sent them a message and asked if they would be dyeing up anymore. I probably could have got it out of the 11, but I'd rather have a bit more than have to play yarn chicken. So I sent them a message and asked them, next time you're dyeing, would it be possible to do some extra? And they got back to me within minutes and said that absolutely, but they were going to dye a whole new batch of 12 skeins so that I could have all 12 skeins out of the same dye pot. How amazing is that service? I just couldn't believe it. And then a few days after that, I had another message from them to say that they were not happy with how it turned out. So they had put another batch in the dye pot for me, and that had turned out brilliantly, and it's winging its way to me as we speak. So a big thank you to Jennifer and Kim. You certainly can't ask for service any better than that. I would highly recommend them, and I know Andrea from Fruity Knitting has knitted a lovely jacket out of some of their yarn, and she was very happy with it. So anything that Andrea likes, I always like. So I'm really looking forward to receiving that, and I'm going to really enjoy showing it to you on my podcast. I'll put all the links for everything I've spoken about if you click on the little arrow under this video, and you'll be able to see it all there. And I don't usually say this, but if you've enjoyed watching, please hit the like button and subscribe, and that way we can hopefully start to reach a few more people. Thank you for watching, everyone, and I hope you have a lovely day and happy knitting.